Yo, what is up? Thanks so much for making it this far. I'm going to show you what I believe is one of the most important skills to master before you start jumping. For that matter, if you're having trouble jumping and you've not mastered this skill, stop right there, watch this video, and take this skill to the trails as soon as possible. The best part is not only will this skill offer a better foundation for jumping, it'll make even the most boring trail fun to ride. And finally, it can be practiced on most trails. It can be practiced anywhere. Why am I holding this old 2x4? Because all you need is a driveway and a piece of wood to master this skill. So without further ado, let's look at the bump jump. The bump jump skill is a great skill to have for many reasons. It teaches riders the foundational movements that are essential to controlled jumping, and it does so in a far less dangerous way. It teaches riders that their controlled body mass should define the arc, not the bike, not the transition, and not speed. It teaches timing because timing is so crucial in regards to how you ride transitions. In addition, it changes how you look at trails. It makes you more creative, opening opportunities that make a boring trail way more fun to ride. I see so many riders struggling on larger jump trails, yet they're very passive on the bike elsewhere. Hence, I think this is a great topic to cover. Now, if you are a master bump jumper, but you are having trouble on larger jumps, larger transitions, check out this video over here. I know it will help you. Okay, to practice this skill at home is super easy. What I have here is a 2x4. For the purposes of this video, I will refer to the 2x4 as a bump, but you can use anything as long as it's an inch or two off the ground and it doesn't shift or slide when you ride into it. So as I ride toward the bump, I am high on the bike. I need to be high on the bike because this is the start of the mechanics for the body movement that are going to make this work. So you want to be high on the bike. You also need to be forward. Your shoulders should be above the bars, your knees should be above your toes, and all your weight should be in your heels. This will ensure that your body weight is over the bottom bracket. Now, as I ride toward the bump, I'm focused on it because timing is absolutely crucial in this maneuver. And as I get close to the bump, what I do is I will sink down into the bike and I'll start to shift backwards. What this will do is it will unweight the front wheel. As the front wheel is unweighted and it makes contact with the bump, it pops it up into the air slightly. One thing important to mention is I'm not pushing forward with my arms. I actually have a very light grip on the bars. Any forward movement of the bike is because of a slight backward movement of my body, and that is all done with the legs and the hips. So I push forward slightly with the hips, so I shift backward. Again, that unweights my front wheel. The front wheel makes contact with the bump and pops it up into the air. I'm still pressing into my heels at this point. With my front wheel off the ground, is so crucial that you press into your heels and really weight that back wheel, because we want to press that back wheel into the ground and make sure that it tracks the ground all the way up into the bump. So we're driving the back wheel into the ground as our front wheel comes off. At this point, I am not pulling on the bars. My biceps are not activated right here. The front wheel lift, again, is initiated by the bump, but the continued lift is from my body movement shifting backward. And the lift would be from my back muscles, my core, and from my thighs. So I'm pushing into the ground, timing it so that the moment my back wheel hits that bump, I'm exploding upward. So it's as if I'm using my bike as a lever, and I'm timing it so there's the bump, boom, I'm exploding upward, and I'm shifting my mass forward. So my body mass is my shoulders, my core, my chest. I'm shifting that forward, and what that'll do is it'll ensure that my bike finds the arc that my body mass is taking, and my body mass defines the arc, not the transition, not the speed, not the bike. It's my body mass, and that is the most controlled way that you can jump a bike. And I bring it down, and I bring it down in a manner that I'm still above my bottom bracket. Okay, let's make it more fun. If you're lucky enough to have a second 2x4, great. If not, you can find a stick. You can even use a chalk line. But we want to be precise with this exercise. The goal of it is not to long jump and clear the second board. The goal of it is to actually land slightly on the backside of the second board, because we're envisioning this as our target point for our landing transition. When we do bump jumps on the trails, we're looking for landing scenarios. So we don't just want to pop and land anywhere. We're looking to land on the backside of roots, on the backside of rocks, on the backside of other bumps perhaps. We're essentially looking for many little gaps to help us flow through the trail. So what this will do is it'll hone in your skills on actually how you use your body mass to define your arc and target your landing transition. So I'm coming in with all the proper body mechanics. I'm high, I'm forward, I'm sinking down, I'm shifting back slightly with my hips. Front wheel makes contact with the bump, it pops up in the air. I'm pressing the back wheel into the ground. I'm pushing through my heels. As soon as my back wheel makes contact with the bump, I'm standing upward. I'm shifting forward. My body mass shifting forward finds my arc. And I'm spotting my landing zone. So if done precisely, I'll land on the very back side of that 2x4. And right there, we landed perfectly on the backside of that 2x4. So you can see it's not a very explosive movement. It's more of a fluid movement. It's very controlled. And that's important when you move up to bigger jumps because it's really not an explosive bunny hop. It's more of just a flowing motion with your body mass. So in this final example, I've made the gap bigger, coming in high and sinking down and shifting back. The front wheel pops up. Again, I'm not pulling on the bars. I'm simply holding onto the bars. Any lifting of the front wheel is from my body mass shifting slightly backward and having a strong core, strong back, and that push with my thighs into the ground. Hit the bump, I pop into the air, drive forward with my shoulders, find my arc, spot my landing, and land perfectly on the backside of the transition. Very important thing to note here is I'm still above my bottom bracket. I see so many riders push their bike forward to clear a gap or to meet a transition. And being that far back on your bike when you land is very dangerous should you come up short on the jump or should you have some obstacles that you need to maneuver around after the jump. So this is a super fun skill to work on at home. You can increase the size of your bump, you can increase the size of your gap, but ultimately we want to take it to the trail. So now let's take this to the trail. I'll show you how I can use this on a very boring trail. I can make it a little bit more fun. And we finally will then take it to a very small jump, and I'll show you how these mechanics can apply to a very small jump to give you that controlled flight.
Let's apply our new skill, the bump jump. Bump. Here we go, bump jump. 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 Here we go. One skill. That was difficulty level intermediate, maybe. Same skill. One skill. One skill. One skill. Actually, we might have a whole line here. So we got this route to this route, that route to that route. Oh, let's do this line. First one cleared, second one cleared, third one. All right. So not only does the bump jump make boring trails so much more fun, it gives you a different perspective on the trails, but it also teaches you to be playful on your bike, to experiment, to unweight, to practice body-bike separation in a very controlled, low-key manner. Okay, so now that you have that bump jump technique hammered out, you have it dialed in, find yourself a little jump, and let's take that technique to a little jump. So we have a little tabletop in front of us. We're going to apply the same bump jump technique to the tabletop, but we don't necessarily have a cue marker. So what we need to do is envision our bump being the very top of the transition. So we're going to ride that top of the transition just like we do our bump jumps, just like we do our routes, just like we do our rocks. What that's going to do is it's going to teach us on small jumps that our body manipulates the maneuver, not speed. Here we go. Here's our bump. and we cleared it. Super easy. Why is it easy? Because we focused on that technique that we hammered out on all those boring trails. Here's our bump. A lot of people without this technique would come into it with a lot of speed and just clear it with speed. I'm gonna come into it super slow. I'm gonna start right here. Let's do it. Coming in very slow. Here's our bump. And we cleared it easy. We had a nice controlled arc. Our body mass controlled the flight, not our bike. Speed was not the reason why we cleared it. We cleared it with bump jump technique. Look at this bump jump challenge. We're gonna call this a road gap. Here I go. It's kind of a slow entrance. It's really gonna test our bump jump skills. This road gap, here we go. Ah, nice.